You've been up since dusk. You haven't hiked since you were 17 years old, and your body is making you aware of that with every painful step that you take. But you know that the possessed Hillwalker will have to make their way down to the gorge and to the pulpit to reenact the Passion Play, and that will be your only opportunity to corner the Spectre. You'll need to be careful though. Dark skies, wet weather, and jagged rocks are a sure recipe for broken ankles. Well, there goes that exorcism. Have fun hobbling back down the hill. It's 2 minutes to midnight, and the moon is high in the sky. You're cut off from your cell in the halls of a Highland estate, being hotly pursued by its lichen lairdry. Tucked in your welly is a Webley with 6 silver slugs of ammunition to save your sorry arse, assuming that you weren't the nupty that neglects to check the safety. And your toes are gone. It's 5 minutes till dawn. You and 12 capable hunters are flanking each face of an abandoned fishing hut with a sniper covering you from the roof of your jeep. You've got body armor, you've got cattle prods, you've got stakes, you've got shotguns filled with dragon's breath rounds. There is no way that any of those black bodies is making it out of that shack alive. Oh, shite! Somebody called the cops. Hello, I'm the director for the Society for the Exploration of the Glasgow Underground, and this is the Hunter Survival Guide. Today's lesson is about when to crawl, walk, run, hit, not necessarily in that order, and is brought to you by the word stone cold motherfucking pragmatism. So we've identified an occurrence as being supernatural. We've narrowed it down to a locale, or even an address. We may even have the slightest idea of what it is that we're up against, and this is where the real work begins. Here in Scotland, the practice of hunting deer is referred to as stalking. The emphasis being on the absolute necessity of total stealth, that the deer must be completely unawares before being taken from up the hill. And this is a mentality that we hunters with a capital H should be adopting when it comes to the pursuit of our own quarry, with the obvious exception that what we hunt instead of deer are deadly supernatural creatures, and instead of tasty venison, our hunts yield only trauma. When we go up the hill, we must be aware that we are not the deadliest thing on it. By simple virtue of our knowing what the supernatural is, we place ourselves in harm's way, and indeed, many a hunter has been lured to their doom with the promise of hot preternatural goss. God knows I have. And when it comes to tracking quarry with the intention of eliminating them, well, by definition that will require us to get within striking distance, and when that happens, we ideally want the odds to be stacked wherever possible in our favour. That means that every opportunity you have to observe the quarry is another opportunity to analyse, categorise, and surprise with intent to neutralise. That means investigating thoroughly. It means examining any routines or complacency that you can exploit, but for God's sake, never let them see you coming. Rule number 1 of the Stalk. Proximity equals awareness. Awareness equals danger. Since the usual suspects in our quarry are at least for the most part capable of navigating human society, that means that the second you or your cell are within eyeshot of them, they have an opportunity to make you and then flee, compromise your operation, or launch a counterattack. And when a supernatural's existence is on the line, they can and will use everything in your environment from objects to other people against you. A fallen tree trunk in a dark forest, for example, would make an excellent hiding spot for you, a great ambush point for a starved black body, and a makeshift battering ram for a pissed off shifter, much to the chagrin of the fixer who just got their van back from the shop. But let's say the worst comes to the worst and the quarry manages to get the drop on you. Sure, supernatural options are on the table and turning you to a pink mist is certainly one solution, but smarter quarry might opt for a more savvy approach. Rule number 2 of the Stalk. For every supernatural actor, there is a non-supernatural reaction. When a black body coterie finds out there's an armed hunter cell in the area that's picked up on their trail, their first response isn't going to be to send an army of ghouls or petition their regent for aid to attack by night, because they don't need to. All they need to do is make an anonymous phone call to the local police, at least one of which they will have on tap, literally, and then laugh from the safety of their coffins as the hunter's hotel room is raided by armed police, and the cell is either forced to flee or be thrown in jail where a ghoul prison guard can off them in solitary. The shifter pack that learns that you're after their errant pup that's been tearing up hostels isn't going to turn up silhouetted against the light of the moon, go through the full transformation sequence into their war forms, and start tearing you and your cellmates limb from limb, because they don't need to. All they need to do is call in a favour from those lunatic ultras that they call kin, wait until you and your cell are wandering through the city during the right, or I guess wrong, football match, and then chill in a beer garden as they filter through the crowds towards you, gracefully don their ski masks, and then bust out the tire irons and ginger balls. The sorceress, who has been forming a literal cult of personality in order to grease her palms and worm her way into local office, isn't going to go beautiful and terrible as the dawn the second that she catches wind of a tech-savvy hunter poking into her campaign finances, because she doesn't need to. All she needs to do is trace the inquisitive little hunter from the IP address of their local internet cafe back to their office day job, wait for them to grab a taxi in the rain to head home, wiggle her nose in the appropriate fashion to raise the driver's blood alcohol level by a couple of points, and then smile as the taxi begins to veer off the side of the Kingston Bridge and straight into the Clyde. All these examples should serve to illustrate that what makes the quarry dangerous is that it is usually not a mindless monstrosity in a dark forest or sitting at the top of a derelict tower. It knows us, it lives amongst us, it's just as smart as us, if not more so, and it's completely incapable of operating on the same moral framework as us, or refuses to do so out of some disgusting sense of self-superiority. Approach supernaturals without caution. Make one mistake, and you and your entire cell could be getting eerily familiar with the past tense before you even got within miles of your quarry. Which leads me to rule number 3. If you think they spotted you, they did. Run. That means assume the quarry knows you are a hunter and is making moves to attack you and your cell within the hour. That means scrub your base of operations, whether that is a forward operating base out of a Highland B&B or a dedicated safe house in a subway tunnel, and then get you and your cell holed up somewhere secure. That means gather all intel, equipment, and tools, and anything that you can't carry or fit in a backpack, you burn. Sounds drastic, dramatic, over the top even? Youngblood, if you've not been picking up what I've been putting down, let me spell it out for you. A painful, prolonged death at the hands of your quarry is the best outcome you could hope for. A hunt gone wrong versus the type of cruelty that can be visited upon you, your cell, and everyone you care about by a supernatural with a grudge. Ask the journalist who made the mistake of doing solo investigations into a possible serial killer how many days they lost and how many stories they buried while under the thrall of a blank body that wormed their way into their office. Ask the priest how it felt when the passion play finally ended, after a raging spectre chose to make them her mortal host, forcing them to relive her last experiences again and again and again and again and again. Ask the prepper, who at age 12 made the mistake of investigating the sound of a dozen motorcycles at 3 AM in the Highlands, exactly how merciful the shifter pack were when they descended on the family campsite looking for whoever had just witnessed their arms deal. Almost every supernatural is possessed by human beings' innate capacity for cruelty, magnified by the powers they possess, and will do everything in their power to strike fear into the hearts of any would-be hunters that would dare push back against them, because the quarry knows just as well as we do that the hunter maid that runs away makes the kill another day. And that kill, the aftermath, and covering our tracks is exactly what we are going to cover in the next lesson. Until then, I'm the director. Please rewind before ejecting. Special thanks to my Mythic and Sandwich tier patrons Griffin Provenzano, Devil, and Brandon Cryer for making this project and others possible. And an extra special thank you to my early backers Ryan Henderson, Winter Slade, D Sparrow, Dugrin, Watchful Spirit, Harrison Paulin, Gunnar, Computer Coder, Patchwork Wizard, Zed Pickering Polstra, William Ferrari, Isaac Davies, Sashot Mack, Andrew Davis, Lemon Planter, Sora Mayura Yukino, Displacer Cat Shi, Zynorax, Gabriel Shepherd, Harry 1863, Anthony Williams, Kay Burnett, Peter Allen, Merrill Douglas, Jordan S., Aaron Grover, Wanna Trip Baby, Damian Lane, Carl Ilya, Righteous Steak, Thomas O'Neill, Joshua Smith, Jenny Size, Matthew, and Evan Haggart. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you'd like access to behind the scenes content and the ability to influence our future projects, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Portions of the materials are copyrights and trademarks of Paradox Interactive AB and are used with permission. All rights reserved.